We have companies like Amazon, where we have somebody who is so rich he could live for 10, 20, 30,000 more years on £1,000 a day, and it wouldn't touch his wealth. Whilst we have couriers here in this country on Amazon going out earning near enough less than the minimum wage, working 15 or 16 hours a day. I stopped at a petrol station about a week ago. I saw a Deliveroo rider put £2 of fuel into his petrol tank, assumably because that's literally all he had, so he could carry on about.
In this video, business advocate Anita Bang steps up to defend Britain's billionaires and gets systematically dismantled by trade unionist Chris Webb in one brutal exchange after another. From exposing the reality of Amazon workers surviving on minimum wage to calling out the blatant hypocrisy of billionaire philanthropy, Webb takes her argument apart. But it's the final clash over corporate greed that leaves the business elite completely exposed. Watch this. And if you want to see more of Britain's political elite getting exposed, make sure you're subscribed, because this won't be the last one.
Chris Webb.
Yeah, good question, John. You've got a great voice for radio, John, as well, didn't you? The way you pitched that question. I think that we do too much bow into big business, and I think we need a real rebalance in this country. This country's never been more equal. I walked from Waterloo to here before I started the show and walked past at least 2 or 3 dozen homeless people. We have 4 million kids living in poverty in this country. We have 2 million kids today who have missed a meal. We have 3 million people who are in work but also claiming benefits because their wages don't give them enough to actually be able to live. So the growth that I want to talk about, and I think the growth that people actually want to see, is growth they can feel. Because business, it's okay to say...
How do you do that? By punishing business?
It's not about punishing all business, is it? It's about looking at some of the businesses in the country. Because some people, businesses do a fantastic job. And they set about to earn themselves some money, which is brilliant because they're entrepreneurs. They deserve the right to set something up and make some money. But some people in this country, and some people internationally, make their money off underpaying and taking advantage of their workers. We have companies like Amazon, where we have somebody who is so rich he could live for 10, 20, 30,000 more years on £1,000 a day, and it wouldn't touch his wealth. Whilst we have couriers here in this country on Amazon going out earning near enough less than the minimum wage, working 15 or 16 hours a day. I stopped at a petrol station about a week ago. I saw a Deliveroo rider put £2 of fuel into his petrol tank, assumably because that's literally all he had, so he could carry on about his job and his role. I think that there's too much of an obsession. I know obviously Anita's going to come from that background, but there is an absolute obsession with business when everybody has to play their part to rebalance the economy. Everybody has to play their part to deliver a better society.
But I also think we need to absolutely encourage business. We need to encourage entrepreneurship. The hospitality sector, for instance, is absolutely on its knees. It's struggling so badly because of business rates. Restaurants, pubs are going out of business left, right, and centre. People are really struggling when they are trying to do the entrepreneurial thing, when they are trying to open up their own business and like you said, put money in their pockets. I think there has to be a balance between making sure we are not pandering too much to huge business, making sure that we are taxing huge business correctly, but also making it much easier, like I think Anita was alluding to, much easier for people to set up businesses, make money from those businesses, and pay taxes, and that's going to grow the economy. But we have to make it more favourable for people to do that. And I just think at the moment, it's absolutely not.
I agree with a lot of the points made just there. Like the situation is very clear that we want to encourage entrepreneurship, but I think we get to this odd place where we say it's good for you to grow a business, but if you get too big, that's a problem. What I didn't hear from Chris, I didn't hear. It's very different.
How do you define greedy?
And I didn't hear a proposal for how to grow the economy. I heard a proposal for why actually the minimum wage might not be high enough. Fine, that's a different conversation. How do you drive growth? Because at the moment, the companies that are growing are the big ones, and there aren't a lot of options to drive the kinds of economic growth that's going to make a meaningful difference to the lives of the workers you're talking about, Chris. And we keep hearing this prescription of it's not fair, companies are greedy. What we haven't heard is another solution to this problem.
I'll give you one. I'll give you a solution because it's very simple. You share the wealth. Because how
does that drive growth?
No, let me finish the answer. But you're here to represent those people, and that's fine. You're here to talk on behalf of it. That's fine. That's not where I come from. I've represented all my life working class people. Yeah?
I do too. I'm working class too.
People who are in the situation that they find themselves in this country at the minute, your point, hospitality industry is on its knees. People have not got the money to spend in the hospitality industry. So the point of how we grow the economy is maybe someone does not need to be a trillionaire. Maybe we don't need the top 56 people in this country owning more wealth than the bottom 29 million people in this country. And maybe if that was rebalanced a bit more, then those people would have money to go into hospitality, go into restaurants, go into retail, and rebalance things. And I'm sorry, this country has never been more unequal, and it needs to change.
I think we have tried the system of why don't we keep increasing taxation, and we absolutely know the top 1%.
Taxation. That's not what I said.
Well,
no, that's not what I said.
You said they shouldn't be trillionaires, which I presume means that they should be taxed more, so they don't acquire wealth.
Who needs £1 trillion in it?
Well,
what sort of bizarre debate is this?
I think we're talking about a very small group of people in the country. What I'm talking about is benefiting everyone by driving growth, and I think there is this notion that there are a very small number of people that if we just tax those, all the problems in the UK would be solved. And I think if it were that easy, we wouldn't be in this situation.
I've just presented you 56 people in this country own more wealth than 29 million. And you say, well, how could that be rebalanced? Well, it could be rebalanced, quite simply.
The fact is, I mean, let me put this to you. I know 3 billionaires, and I'm thinking of one of them here. This guy doesn't sort of like live a particularly luxurious lifestyle. He's not a greedy person. He invests in a lot of new businesses, startups, becomes an angel investor, and takes the risk of losing that investment because not all new companies succeed. And I think it has, over the years, probably created a 6-figure sum of jobs throughout his entire business career. So I think when you talk about billionaires or trillionaires, do you not feel that it's sort of like the language of class envy, where because someone has a lot of money, therefore they're almost intrinsically evil, they're exploiting people all the time? Now, there may well be 1 or 2 people that do that. I'm not denying that.
I think there's more than one.
But a lot of them do not. A lot of them actually invest in the economy because, I mean, I wouldn't know what to do if I had £1 billion. I mean, well, I probably could spend it, but I mean,
West Ham United, surely.
I'll buy it. Yeah. Absolutely. So you've solved that one. But generally, I think most richer people are not just motivated by accumulating an ever-increasing amount of wealth. A lot of them are great philanthropists. And I think in America, possibly more so than here. We never hear about that.
No.
After you wanted to come in.
Quite a
Yeah, sorry. To your point, I think we kind of do have this assumption that if you are a billionaire or a trillionaire, then you are sort of this evil overlord. And I don't think that applies to everyone. But I do agree with you. Who needs £1 trillion? We absolutely do need to rebalance that. Absolutely. If the top 56 people in the country, their wealth exceeds, 29 million people on the bottom end, it doesn't work and it doesn't make sense, and that's not contributing to growth. I think maybe we need to come to a rebalance or a simplification of our tax system. If we're talking about how complicated our tax system is, we'd probably be here for days. But I think, number one, we need to make it easier for companies that are growing to grow. I think we need to definitely look at the taxation system when it comes to people who have incredible wealth to make sure that they are putting what they should be putting back into the economy. And when you have a growing business, perhaps, business rates could be lower. People have been talking for ages about how business rates have been crippling them. That's something that the government absolutely has to listen to because, listen, the billionaires and the trillionaires all started from somewhere.
I'm not here to defend wealthy people. I'm here to talk about growth. And I think what I'm not hearing is stuff that's actually going to drive material growth across the country. And I think the idea that there is enough wealth or growth in this country and we just need to redistribute it, I think does not engage with the reality of what's happened to this country post the financial crisis. There is not enough skills, there is not enough industry, there's not enough housing. All of these things come from enterprise, and we're not seeing enough of that. And I think that's going to be a huge challenge for Andy Burnham.
But then is that about them making the UK much more an attractive
Absolutely.
place? Yeah.
these are
for
the complex
people,
policy work. And instead, what we have is this notion that the problem is some people are too rich. And I think if that were the solution, we wouldn't be here.
But it's not.
It's a myriad.
It's not about being too rich. There's no problem with someone.
You just said, why do we need trillionaires?
Yeah.
That is literally about people being too rich.
Well, that's because it's utterly ridiculous. And if you think that's a point to defend, then that's on
you just
yourself
said
to defend
it's not about being too rich,
No,
and then you said, why do you need
the point that Ian made, that not everyone who is earning money thinks that way, because there's some very good and very sort of ethical business people out there, and I think that's important I make that point. But for you to not accept the point that actually somebody who's got multi-billionaire pounds in the bank but pays someone the minimum wage to work 14, 15 hours out in this heat, in this pressure, delivering mail, on a construction site, delivering food to people, is not right. It is fundamentally not right, and it is greed.
I'm not defending that at all. I'm talking about growth.
If that money from that trillionaire, that billionaire, was in the pocket of that Deliveroo worker or that Amazon worker, then they would be spending it in our economy and growing our economy. So you asked for an answer. I'll give you an answer, which is if those people had more money to spend, they would spend it in the economy. But people like Musk, people like Bezos, they don't do that. They take their money, they take it offshore, and they put it in banks.
I'm not here to defend American billionaires. I don't know them. I have I'm talking about how, as a society in Britain, we can continue to drive growth. And I think the notion that there are a couple of companies, if only that was different, the economy would be different, I think is too simplistic for where we are right now.
That is modern Britain in a nutshell. A trade unionist stands up for delivery workers surviving on scraps of fuel money, while a business advocate insists the problem isn't wealth, it's not enough of it being created. Chris Webb laid out the numbers plainly. 56 people in this country hold more wealth than 29 million citizens combined. Anita Bang's response? Call it class envy, then pivot straight back to growth. But growth for who? Not for the Amazon courier working 16-hour days. Not for the family choosing between heating and eating. This exchange proves exactly why ordinary people have lost faith in an economy that keeps telling them to wait their turn. They aren't confused about the numbers, they're just tired of being told the math doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments, do you agree with Chris, or does Anita have a point? And if you want more of these breakdowns, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.